Look, I'm not going to sit here and say that was a beautiful basketball game. I'm not going to sit here and say that was the most impressive basketball game of the year. But you know what? You know who doesn't care? You know who does not care how that looked? You know who doesn't care how that went in terms of aesthetics? The men, the women, the children of Michigan, who just claimed their first natty in hoops since 1989. And the fact is, you don't have to like this Michigan team, but you have to respect what they just pulled off, because the game might not have been that impressive, but make no mistake about this, Michigan clearly was the most impressive college basketball team this season, and they left no doubt about that throughout that tournament run. Even if they did shoot just 38% from the field last night, and were just 2 of 15 from beyond the arc. Not exactly how they drew that up, but it also didn't matter. They made enough plays on both ends to take down that natty. And they proved, in fact, they could win an ugly game. They could grind out a gritty game against the ultimate gritty competitor. Again, the first 5 games of that tourney, the Wolverines rampaged. Last night they proved they could get ugly, they could get nasty, and they could do so against a team staring down the barrel of a dynasty. See, it doesn't really matter how many shots Michigan missed, because once again, they hit enough to lift the trophy. And they were a phenomenal 25 of 28 at the free throw line. You could argue that's where they won that game. And on top of that, they played high intensity, swarming, super active, super athletic defense for the entire 40. And they got the job done, even though they could not shoot the ball, and their best player was a gimp and completely banged up. You got to come away, though, right? You got to come away, from those 2 games, impressed with Lendeborg and the way he kept grinding and kept fighting, even though the guy was not right. First, he dropped an LT hammer on his mom and his agent, who tried to tell him not to play in the second half against Arizona. Then he guts it out to the end last night, even though he was so frustrated and felt so off his game that he set himself on fire in one of the wildest yet most honest halftime interviews you are ever going to see.
Thanks a lot, and Yaxel, how is it feeling out there? You played all 20 minutes.
I feel awful. I feel super weak right now. I can't make anything. Oh, man. I'm trying to push through, obviously, because, it's a championship game and all that. But, man, I'm missing plays that I don't usually miss. I have many opportunities to take advantage of a small defender. Haven't been able to do it. I'm going to go in there at half, do as much as I can, and try to feel a lot better and come out here more aggressive.
Well, knowing that you guys have just 20 minutes to win a national championship, what will it take?
Everything, no matter what type of knee pain I'm in, man, I got to go out there and give it my best. I played really soft that first half, and I'm going to be way better second half.
Yo, bro, take it easy on yourself. That dude just roasted the hell out of himself going into halftime of the Natty. Pretty wild. He even used the word soft. Normally, you do not like to hear a guy so down on himself in such a big moment, but he was not wrong, right? And that's the thing about that Michigan team. They clearly have a standard, and they clearly understand that standard, and they have a full buy-in on that standard from the entire group. You see, talented as hell, but even more impressive to me, selfless as hell. It's so cliche, but these dudes truly do play for one another. Every one of these dudes checked their ego at the door and had each other's back. Now, that in and of itself is not going to win you a natty, but you combine all of that with the requisite talent that they assembled, and you're cutting down the nets. You're the last one standing. And obviously, that legend, Dusty May, gets the credit for that. A lot of people coming for him right now. But let me say, what an outrageous job that guy's done since he arrived in Ann Arbor. And what a wild journey he's been on over the past few years. In February of 2023, Dusty May was a first-time head coach at FAU, who had never coached a tournament game. Since February of 2023, this dude's 12-3 in the NCAA tournament, 2 Final Fours, and a natty. That any good. And forget the miraculous job that he did at FAU, and it was a miracle. He's also done a borderline miraculous job now at Michigan. Let's not forget, he inherited an 8-24 team, a 3-17 team in the Big Ten, and a program with no direction, a program that Juwan Howard ran into the ground. Now, just 2 years later, he rampages through the tournament. He rips a natty. Now, maybe not quite Kurt Signetti impressive, but not that far off. And Dusty made it look easy. Why is Dusty May enjoying so much success as a head coach? It's because the guy does essentially everything really well. He's great at finding, attracting, and procuring talent. And then he's great that once he gets it in the house, at developing that talent and molding a talented group into a team. Connectivity, cohesion, chemistry, buy-in. Also, awesome on the X's and O's, as we saw last night. And again, a complete buy-in from the entire team. Even though most of that team only just arrived in Michigan, which I know is a major problem for some people for some reason. This is where the haters come out and say, Michigan bought that title with all these transfers. Michigan gamed the system. Some lava pigs on social even are acting like Michigan somehow cheated their way to a natty, which makes no sense because we just saw what it looks like when a Michigan team actually does cheat their way to a natty, a.k.a. the football team. You want to tell me those guys cheated? Fine. I mean, they did get caught after all. But notice how Dusty May did not self-impose any suspensions this year, nor did he have to run off anybody associated with the program for appearing in disguise on an opponent's bench, nor were the feds sniffing around. Not to mention, he didn't show up at a staffer's house after getting fired, going through the butter knife drawer, threatening to kill himself since his life was already over. He didn't get caught lying to the NCAA, didn't get caught crying after a win for his other coach. I mean, none of these things. So there's nothing illegitimate about this Michigan basketball championship, although many others also want to cry that the guy tampers. Look, I understand that a lot of people do not like Michigan, but that doesn't automatically mean he cheated, he gamed the system, because they didn't. What he did do was take advantage of the system, just like any other coach or program in the country could do. Obviously, he just did it better. He went out, he got the pieces he needed, he got those pieces on the same page quickly, he got the most out of those pieces, and then he won a natty. So give the guy some bleeping credit. Stop letting the football teams bullcrap and your general disdain for Michigan and Michigan man cloud your judgment of that basketball team and what it just accomplished, because it was pretty amazing. Now, on the flip side, it's got to sting for UConn to be so close to a dynasty and so close to a third title in 4 years and not be able to shoot the ball at all. Granted, Michigan's length had something to do with that. Michigan gave them a lot of trouble, but it had to be brutal to come all that way just to lose to a team that shot 38% from the field and 2 of 15 from 3. Check out this stat. This is a wild, wild stat. In the NCAA tournament, teams are 1-50 all-time when scoring under 70 points, shooting under 40% from the field, shooting under 15% from 3 on 15 or more attempts, and getting out-rebounded. That one win was by Michigan last night. Michigan did all those things and still won. So 1-50 now. No team had ever had all of that happen and won a tournament game until last night, and they won a championship game. Almost impossible to lose that game. Nobody's ever lost a tournament game like that. And to lose that kind of game with that kind of history on the line, man, there's no way around it. I mean, not only had nobody ever lost a game like that, They lost a game like that with a dynasty hanging in the balance. That would have been their third win in 4 years. But you still have to give the Huskies some credit for the way they fought until the very end, even though they had very little going. And you've got to give Michigan credit for shutting them down with some incredibly impressive athletic and physical defense. I don't think that part's going to make Dan Hurley feel any better, although I think that he was proud of his team. But, and this part won't make him feel better either, but it will make me feel better and some others. You know what they say. Good teams win, but great teams cover. And UConn might have fallen just short of dynasty status last night, but the dynasty of covering continues. The dynasty of the Huskies getting the big head nod paid, that continues. We did take the points on the after hour yesterday. It's just tough to pick against those guys because Dan Hurley tends to get the absolute most out of his guys every single time out. But last night, Dusty May just got more from his guys, and they frankly had more. So again, you don't have to like Michigan, but you do have to respect them, and you do have to call them what they clearly have been all season long, the best team in college basketball. And safe to assume, if they can hold on to Dusty May, that dominance is only going to continue. This dude has been absolutely masterful, both at FAU and Michigan. And there's absolutely no reason to believe that that won't continue if he stays right where he is.